Nothing spices up your gaming life quite like a bit of role-playing, cheeky. And with everything from old-school JRPGs to action-packed modern classics, the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate Library has an RPG for everyone. Yes, even you. Here are the best, but why don't you tell us yours in the comments as we go. I'm going to start off with two all-timer series from those big brains over in Bethesda, Fallout and The Elder Scrolls. If venturing through an irradiated wasteland is your idea of a good time, you could dive into Fallout 3, 4, or the acclaimed spin-off New Vegas, and that last one is especially good if you're doing an evil playthrough. After all, what happens in New Vegas stays in New Vegas. But if you like your RPGs a bit more magical, well, the Elder Scrolls games provide sprawling fantasy realms to explore. Whether you're duking it out with dragons in Skyrim, seeing which way the Morrowind blows, or enjoying the gorgeous new remaster of Oblivion, an epic adventure is all but guaranteed. You could easily spend hundreds of hours in any one of these games, and that's before you even get to the basically infinite amount of multiplayer fun to be had in The Elder Scrolls Online and Fallout 76, both of which have had tons of updates since they first launched. The Kingdom Come Deliverance games are easily the best 15th century Bohemia simulators I've ever played, but they're also both absolutely amazing action RPGs. History buffs are going to love the uber-detailed open worlds that these games have crafted, and they're not just for show either. They're dynamic worlds that respond to how you act, how you talk, how you dress, and in even certain cases, how you smell. Now that is a deep RPG mechanic. I don't imagine most people smell very good back then, before like body spray and all that. The crunching first-person combat also has a really satisfying skill curve to it. You'll go from cowering at the sight of a nasty man with a stick to effortlessly cutting down your foes like a knight in shining, ever so slightly bloodstained armour. And building your skills in creating weapons and potions and poisons doesn't exactly hurt either. Well, doesn't hurt you exactly. When it comes to iconic Xbox RPG series, they don't come much more iconic or Xboxier than Fable. Is Xboxier a word? I don't know. Well, let's say we invented it. These third-person action RPGs take place in Albion, a land that is rife with magic and bawdy British humour.
That way, you great big Baldur turd!
From trying to save the realm in the first game to taking over the entire place in the third, there are so many adventures to be had here and so many opportunities to put your own spin on them. Become the people's champion, get rich as a landlord, sprout a pair of demon horns, or just get really good at blacksmithing. It's all possible, and your loyal dog will be by your side no matter what you pick. Oh yeah, and there's also a brand new Fable game on the way to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate in 2026, isn't there? So make sure you subscribe to hear more about that one. If you're an anime fan who always wished they could step right into the world of one of their favourite shows, well, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate has you more than covered there as well. There's Genshin Impact, the award-winning fantasy adventure that has drawn in millions of players worldwide. Its sprawling cast of playable characters all boast abilities that are as distinctive as their personalities, so you're sure to find one that works for you, whether they're a robot-building infant or a cat-eared mixologist. Quite a lot of them have cat ears, actually. What's up with that? From the team behind the Persona games, Metaphor Refantatio brings that same mixture of gentle social simming and turn-based combat, but to a medieval fantasy realm. But if you miss those school day hijinks, the fourth Persona game has a full remake in the works, which is gonna be coming day one to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, so fear not. And if you specifically wanted to immerse yourself in a Studio Ghibli film, the anime legends helped whip up two brilliant RPGs called Ni no Kuni, and they're both available on Game Pass Ultimate right now, and Game Pass Premium too, now that I mention it. Now, without knowing a single thing about you, I can confidently say that Disco Elysium isn't quite like any other game you've played. Also, on both Ultimate and Premium, you're going to play as a troubled detective who wakes up one morning with a murder case to solve and no memory of who he is. But fortunately, you're here to help with both those problems, using the game's ingenious skill system, which has players sculpting the hero's personality and managing their innermost thoughts. And yeah, some of those thoughts are pretty weird. The result of that is a deeply unconventional, mostly combat-free RPG that can bend off in all sorts of bizarre and unexpected directions as you unleash your hyper-intelligent hobo-cop onto the crime scene wearing nothing but a necktie and a smile just to see what happens. Or, you know, however you decide to play the game. Good luck. Moonlighter is a role-playing game where you get to play two very distinctive roles. During the day, you're a humble shopkeeper, and at night, you're a badass adventurer. It honestly makes for one of the most satisfying game loops around, as you explore dungeons, digging up valuables, and then you sell them back on the surface. And exploring further gets you more goodies, which you can sell for more money, which you can invest in things like blacksmithing to get better weapons, so you can explore further, and on and on and on it goes. It's a bit like the circle of life, only with better profit margins, and there's more retail-y role-playing to be done in Moonlighter 2, The Endless Vault, which is available in game preview form right now on Game Pass Ultimate. Despite its name, this next one is anything but obscure. It swept the Game Awards, even winning Best RPG. It sold millions of copies and stole our hearts. It's Claire Obscure Expedition 33. Maybe it was the innovative blend of real-time action and turn-based combat. Maybe it was the epic story and the painterly visuals. Maybe it was the dulcet tones of Charlie Daredevil Cox. But there's a magic to this one that made it one of the most celebrated games of 2025. To celebrate, Sandfall Interactive even released a free thank you update, which gives players a brand new environment to explore called Verso's Drafts, and then adds in some even more formidable foes to the Endless Tower. I mean, making us fight someone even tougher than Simon feels like a bit of a funny way to say thank you, but yeah, I'll take it. If you want a game that takes you on a voyage across the stars, asks pointed questions about the dangers of wealth inequality, but also lets you have loads of very silly fun, The Outer Worlds is the way to go. Both of these action RPGs let players create their own character, complete with the little flaws and foibles that make us all who we are. Sure, you've blasted plenty of bad guys with laser guns and saved the galaxy in a dozen other games, but have you done it as a gluttonous bibliomaniac with bad knees and cataracts? Because that's where the real fun is. The Wasteland games all take place in a post-apocalyptic version of the USA, a land that is ravaged by nuclear winters and populated by ruthless militias, unhinged cultists, and other folks with generally bad vibes. But the result is a turn-based RPG where every choice you make really matters. Let a prisoner go, and they might reward you for it later, or they might call up some of their friends and set up an ambush for you further down the road. There is simply no way to know for sure. All three of the Wasteland games are full of ethical crossroads like these, making every player's experience totally unique, and then also giving you loads of replayability. And also, the third game lets you recruit a robotic chick into your squad, just in case you weren't already sold. One of the three great games that Obsidian released in 2025, Avowed, is a fantasy RPG that is ideal for players who feel a bit overwhelmed by the endless openness of games like The Elder Scrolls. I'd say it's a concentrated flavour bomb of a game where every step takes you into a vibrant new place and pushes you further into the game's beautifully crafted story. Whether you're meeting a quirky new companion or learning more about the world of the living lands or adding a nice new fireball spell to your combat options, there's a constant sense of progress. And if you really fall for the wonderful world of Aora, you can spend more time there by checking out the Pillars of Eternity games. Turns out the place just looks lovely when it's all isometric as well. If you know your RPG lore and if you were there when the old magic was written, then you'll know just how important games like Baldur's Gate and Diablo are to the genre. Both these series set the player off on epic isometric adventures as they build their own characters and then delve down into dungeons that are filled with deadly enemies and shiny treasures. They might take inspiration from the tabletop world of Dungeons & Dragons, but they really are quintessential video game experiences. I mean, who knows where we'd even be if these guys hadn't come along back in the 90s. And as a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber, you can enjoy the beautifully enhanced editions of both the original Baldur's Gate games. And that means souped up graphics, modernized UIs, and all of their post-release content. And of course, Diablo fans can continue getting stuck into the fourth game, where the Lord of Hatred expansion has arrived, bringing them face to face with the big bad himself. And that is not to be missed, or should I say not to be missed? Nah, actually, missed is fine. While we're talking about games that came straight from the tabletop, we have to talk about the Citizen Sleeper games. These two story-rich sci-fi adventures basically translate the whole tabletop RPG experience onto a screen, dice rolls and all. Both games have you playing as a human mind that's been shoved inside a robot body owned by a mega corporation. It's a pretty rough place to start, but from there you can go pretty much anywhere. Delve into the secrets of a deep space conspiracy, or just take a bartending job and make some friends. Whatever path you take, you'll be met with loads of really important choices, and you'll arrive at one of multiple possible endings. So both Citizen Sleeper games are great for playing through again and again. And for more tabletop type fun, why don't you check out the Shadowrun games? They're neo-noir adventures with a fantasy twist, which is kind of like Blade Runner if it featured a lot more orcs. Take a quick glance at Crusader Kings 3 and you might think we're trying to pull a fast one here. I mean, with all the nation building and the map scrolling going on, it sure does look like more of a strategy game than an RPG. And that's not totally wrong. You are playing as the monarch of your chosen nation, and you're just trying to lead them to glory through diplomacy, trade, warfare, and all that political stuff. So far, so strategy. But Crusader Kings 3 also lets you make things much more personal, altering the course of history through spying, gossiping, and having tawdry affairs. You're basically writing your own historical soap opera and then watching entire nations rise and fall based on whose dad actually turns out to be their uncle and how far you can spread a particularly vicious rumour concerning an emperor and the local florist. Naughty, naughty. So if that sounds like a role that you'd like to play, make sure you check out Crusader Kings 3. Dragon Age fans are going to tell you the real adventure is always the friends that you make along the way. Well, I guess it's a little bit about fixing those demon spewing holes in the sky and taking down an evil dragon god and stuff, but mostly it's about the friends. Whether we're talking about the original trilogy or the snazzily rebooted Dragon Age The Veilguard, the thing that makes these fantasy RPGs so great is how bursting with personality their worlds are, especially when it comes to the characters that you get to fight alongside. From magical rich kids to sarcastic girl golems and dwarves who love telling tall tales, your new favourite companion is waiting for you somewhere in a Dragon Age game. Get you an RPG developer who can do both sci-fi and fantasy. You know, just like Obsidian's Outer Worlds Avowed combo, Bioware also brought the world-building genius of the Dragon Age games to a galaxy far away in the Mass Effect trilogy. And this trio of deep space adventures features its own cast of unforgettable companions and the chance to fight side by side with them in intense cover shooter style battles. So imagine Gears of War, but Dom occasionally throws someone across the room with his mind, and yeah, you've got the basic idea. It's a trilogy where the more you put in, the more you get out, as every single character has a rich story of their own, and they're all just waiting for you to shove yourself right in the middle of it. It is a truly legendary series, even more so with the Legendary Edition's gorgeous visual overhaul. Now, if you'd like to come on down to South Park and have yourself an RPG, there are two great options sitting in the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate Library. Create your very own new kid and immerse yourself in the quiet mountain town, either embarking on a fantastical quest in the Stick of Truth, or try and forge your very own superhero franchise in the Fractured But Whole. And yes, do enunciate that very carefully if you're talking about the last one.
What?
Written by the show's creators, both games are jam-packed with the same sort of completely deranged humour, but they're certainly not a joke. They are well-crafted, turn-based RPGs that are as much a love letter to old-school gaming as they are just really fun.
Car!
Stay out of the street, you damn kids!
I mean, a love letter filled with swears and extremely morbid humour, but it's a love letter nonetheless. Right, we'll finish right back where we began with Bethesda and their latest blockbusting RPG adventure, Starfield. Bethesda's open worlds, they're always vast, but Starfield is something else entirely. An entire galaxy just waiting for you to fly all over it in your own custom-built spaceship. And it goes without saying, there are a pretty endless amount of things to see, secrets to uncover, relationships to forge, dangerous people to annoy, and even more dangerous things to blast those dangerous people with. The game recently got its biggest update yet, with the Free Lanes update adding in-system cruising, as well as new tiers of gear, all the way up to exotic tier weapons and armour, as well as brand new ship parts and companions to boot. And that's even before we get into the Terran Armada DLC, which is well worth the additional purchase, and that you can actually learn all about in this video right up here, so give it a watch. So, did I miss one of your favourite RPGs, or maybe you have a very strong opinion you'd like to voice about what is and isn't a role-playing game? Either way, hit the comments, let me hear all about it. Bye!